Welcome to Inside the Artist's Mind with your hosts, Jay Harmon and Sally Barnard. Jay and Sally have always wondered what the inspiration is that drives others to create and express their art. Inside the Artist's Mind, we'll dive into the mind of the artist and teach us more than we ever knew. Enjoy the show!
Hello and welcome to Inside the Artist's Mind. My name is Jay Harmon and this is my lovely assistant here,
Sally
Barnard. And we are here to, as always, to talk about artists of all different types and styles and what they do, where they get their ideas and how they create what they do. And we are very, very lucky today to have as our special guest Mr. Frank A. Ruffolo, who is a author, and he has done many books. He's involved in books, TV, movies, everything, and we are so happy to have him as our...
I'm so excited to have him
I
on
know,
the
it's
show.
very exciting to have you. So, Frank, we'd like to welcome you to the show and just tell us a little bit about your career and what you've done.
My career, wow. I started writing in 2007. Just the voices in my head just started in 2007, and now I'm 15 books later and 3 screenplays later, and I even wrote a pilot for a comedy series and comedy show, and one of my screenplays could possibly be becoming a movie in the next 18 months or so. So that's me. I write in 3 different genres. Murder, mystery, science fiction, and action. And my latest book is called COVID Murders. It's about a serial killer who's killing people during COVID. And Jack Stenhouse is my in-house detective, private eye. And this will be the 6th Jack Stenhouse book. So it's...
Oh, really? So he's an ongoing character.
He's an ongoing thing. The first book was the Jack Stenhouse Mysteries, and he started as a homicide detective in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, wow.
And kind of snarky type of guy. Married his girlfriend, who was a stripper. And they moved to New York, and he became the rookie detective in the first precinct in New York. And he's been a detective. He's been in homicide over 20 years. In the last book, Operation Retribution, he retired from the police department. And there's bad things happened, and he just got tired of being in police. The main reason he got tired of being in police, he doesn't like authority. So he got tired of the authority, became his own man, started his own private investigator, and then COVID hit. So this is the first book where he's trying to circumnavigate the COVID pandemic in New York. So basically, he gets called back because of the COVID hit the first precinct where he was. A lot of people are sick. A lot of the detectives passed away. Mm-hmm. So they called him back to help on a case of a serial killer who's his target. The serial killer's target is people that have been diagnosed with COVID.
Wow.
And they had to self quarantine in their homes, and are finding them behind clocked doors in their homes killed. So
Don't give the whole book away. It sounds so interesting.
And it's the first. I've gone into more of a noir detective mindset. This is the first of. It's going to be 2 that are in the noir. Actually, 3 in the noir series. I got 3 more. There's only 2 more. There's only 2 more Stenhouse books coming out, and the next 3, this one and the next 2 will be in a noir series. So it's kind of different. So I'd like to read part of the prologue from this book, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this
You got me really interested now.
This kind of makes me think back to I think
Sam
Humphrey
Spade
Bogart.
and all
Yeah,
those Humphrey
Sam
Bogart
Spade.
type of
Yeah.
things. Yeah, it's basically like
about,
it's going to
what
be
was
like
his-
the old-time
Alfred
detective type
Hitchcock.
of thing.
Not really, but I don't know too much.
So the
about
prologue is, if I can do this and read at the same time. Sorry, I can't look up. I got to read. Clutch within Jack's tight grip, the cup of Joe steams with promise. The promise of warmth against the chill creeping through the room, the promise of caffeine's kiss to rouse his weary soul. Jack's eyes, windows to the mind that's seen brilliance and shadows, scan the emptiness before him. This concrete jungle, infamous for its ceaseless pulse, lies trapped in a fevered dream of tranquility, dormant from the relentless pandemic. No traffic hums a tune, no ambulance screams tear through the air, just unbroken stillness, the quietude of a graveyard. This grand metropolis, a city that never before yielded to fatigue or allowed its neon lights to falter, has been subdued by the invisible adversary. It's like a scene stolen from a dystopian tale, the hand of invisible doom pressing pause on the symphony of life.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's really interesting.
That is very intriguing.
So he gets called in to try to find this serial killer, and he's got part of his old team back, and they're going to go through the COVID thing in New York. And eventually COVID, at the end of the book, COVID sort of dwanes away, but there's a subplot there on how COVID started in New York too. So it's
COVID was really bad in New York, so that
COVID was really bad.
That's
One of the
right.
epicenters. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I chose this particular story.
This is your latest book?
This is my last book.
Yes,
The West
yeah,
Side just came out.
right,
Just came out earlier this year.
So when did you start writing?
2007.
Really?
Yeah, and what prompted you to start writing? What was your inspiration there?
I was a volunteer me and my wife were volunteer at a Virgin Mary Apparition site. So I was told by the visionary that I had two archangels on my shoulder that would help me. One was Archangel Uriel, which is the archangel that has the wisdom of God, and the other one is Archangel Gabriel, who's the messenger. And I was told they would help me. And I said, okay, I didn't start writing right away. And then one morning I just woke up and said, I told my wife, Christine, I have a great idea for a movie. And I just let it go. Nothing happened. And then I just started writing down the idea, which ended up being my second book, called The Trihedral of Chaos, and it was about terror attacks on the United States, and a special agency that was developed to stop the terror attacks. And while I was writing that book, I ended up writing two books at the same time. While I was writing that book, I had a morning routine which I would open the Bible and read a passage, whatever passage in the Bible I would read would be my inspiration for the day, and I would go to work. I was a purchasing manager for
That's
a
great.
major company down here.
Wow.
And one morning I opened up the book, and it was Luke 21:11. Luke 21:11 says that was Jesus telling the disciples what would happen, what would occur before he returns again.
Okay.
And he said there would be terrors in the sky and great signs. There'd be plagues and earthquakes in various places, and terrors in the sky and great signs. I said, oh, thank you. I went to work. That's my thought for the day.
And that was
In
what
2007.
kind of triggered everything to.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
For 3 days straight, when I would open up the Bible, I opened
Wow.
up the same passage,
Wow.
Luke 21:11.
Really?
So then I said, I'm being told something here.
Something to do, something.
So I stopped writing the first book, and I wrote my second book, which is called Gabriel's Chalice, which is the months leading up to Judgment Day, which goes into the terrors in the sky and great signs and earthquakes and plagues, and that was my second. That ended up being my first book. Then the first book I was writing ended up being my second book, and now I'm on my 15th book. So
That's so intriguing,
Wow.
Frank. Had you ever, before you started writing or received these messages, which I truly believe, in
I
that,
know.
had you had no idea? So you didn't even know that you could write, right?
I had
Right. no
ambition to write.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean, yeah,
right.
the only thing I've written before would be proposals. I was in purchasing, so I wrote, proposals for contracts and stuff
But
like
you,
that.
that's
but nothing.
totally.
Yeah.
I didn't write.
So the inspiration from these books, do you find that it's like you get inspiration from somewhere?
I call them the voices in my head. They're still there. I'll get an idea for a story, and I will then I know how to start the story, and I know how to end it. I know where I want to start it, and where I want to end it, and then I'll start writing, and the characters take over and write the book.
Yeah,
If you can understand that.
I can.
The
I
characters
totally
take over and
do.
write the book. So
I
I have
understand that,
no
yeah.
idea what's going to happen in the middle of a book.
Yeah.
And sometimes it changes as I'm writing.
It's funny because I can totally relate, but only mine was to do with art. I woke up one day, I got a message to start painting,
Right.
and I'm suddenly painting. I have no idea, and I never knew I could even draw a straight line.
And-
So it's a different way of interpreting it, but I can relate to your story.
Yeah,
for sure.
and a lot of people don't understand, well, how do the characters write the book? When you're a writer and you start writing characters, they become real people.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
the characters take on their own persona and wisdom, and they write the story. I know where I want to bring the story and how I want to end it, but they take over and sort of drive it.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
How,
that's
how
what
do you
happens.
know that you're getting near to the end? Do you have any idea? Do they let you know that
About what?
at the end of the novel that you're, well, it's more than a novel, because I believe that everything you're being given is absolutely coming through them. But are you sure? I mean, you're writing it down, but do you feel like when you're getting to near the end of the book of writing, do you feel that, or?
Oh yeah, the characters sort of as the story unfolds, it sort of brings toward the climax at the
Right.
end of the book.
Now, I read a book with Stephen King, who has done a lot. I mean, he's a
Right.
fantastic writer. And one of the books that I was reading was the Gunslinger series, which is a rather lengthy series.
Right.
You know, it goes through a lot of different worlds and universes and things. But the characters in this story, they decided they wanted to meet their maker. And the only way they could do that, they had to leave this universe, and they were traveled through this thing, and they ended up in Maine, and they met Stephen King.
Well, there you go.
And that was so that
One
was,
way to bring it. Yeah. But I have characters that are in. Sometimes I cross books. Some of my characters appear in different
That was
books.
going to be my question. Do
You
they?
know,
Yeah.
and to give an example, the last of my sci-fi series, which is called Samuel of Sarah, which has to do with the devil's son and the Nephilim, and it gets all some crazy stuff, right? And the second final judgment of God upon earth, because in Samuel of Sarah, people started to worship another Messiah besides. This is 1,300 years after Judgment Day, so they started worshiping the son of Satan, and God, in His infinite wisdom, looks down and says, "No, I got to fix this." So there's another retribution at the end of that book. But one of the sub stories in that book takes place on Mars, which has been repopulated. And the main city on Mars, in my interpretation, is like another Las Vegas. It's called Xantha City.
were these people from Earth who went to Mars to populate it? Okay.
Yeah, but what happened is, in that storyline, in my second book, Tres Archangelis, there was an asteroid coming to Earth. There was an asteroid coming. It was going to be a life-ending event if it hit Earth. And the archangels told those people who are involved on Earth was made a commander. Excuse me. And through him, the archangel stopped the asteroid from hitting Earth. But in the process, man tried to stop the asteroid by shooting an atomic missile, and they missed.
They missed.
And the missile exploded on Mars.
Oh.
And when the missile hit Mars and exploded, it started a geoforming of Mars. It released an underground water reservoir, which I
Right.
wrote about 5 or 6 years ago, which now they have just come out and said, yeah, there's water on Mars. So, and that geoform, it terraformed Mars. You're talking 1,300 years in the future. So, man then went there with the new capability of being able to travel. And man went there quickly. They can get there in my time in about 15, 20 minutes. They're there.
Great.
And they repopulated Mars. So in the sub text or the subplot in that movie, there was a murder of an AI robot.
Okay, we'll get right back to this right after these words from our sponsors, and please stay with us. This is great.
Welcome back to Inside the Artist's Mind with Jay Harmon and Sally Barnard.
Meet Jay Harmon, one of the many artists held in the Brooklyn Cafe Gallery. Jay specializes in various different art styles, but his medium to work with is colored pencils. His unique style comes from being self-taught and years of practice. Jay pulls his inspiration from many outlets like people, television, celebrities, and many more. With multiple original pieces, Jay's art graces the gallery with over 40 plus works for viewing and for purchase. His many years of being an artist has given him a chance to partner with the Derwent brand, giving him the opportunity to try many different work styles and further his craft. Feel free to come down and visit the studio to view his work, or if you're interested in your own Jay Harmon original, he's open to commissions on his website, coloredpencilartist.com. Or catch his show, The Colored Pencil Artist, on Amp Media Productions on YouTube and Facebook. See you soon.
When it comes to protecting what matters most, your family, your business, your peace of mind, you need reliable fire protection. Introducing All Fire Extinguisher Depot, Fire Extinguisher Service. Our certified technicians ensure your extinguishers are always ready to respond to emergencies. Before and after, we leave your fire safety in top-notch condition. Join the many satisfied clients who trust All Fire Extinguisher Depot for fire extinguisher service. Because when it comes to fire safety, there's no compromise. Contact All Fire Extinguisher Depot at 786-704-2750 to get your extinguisher service today. Your safety is our priority. That's at 786-704-2750. All Fire Extinguisher Depot, protecting what matters.
A true story, Call Me Zena, is the telling of Sally Barnard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came into the U.S. in 1979. A mother of two and a grandmother of four, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the third dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest into art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed a paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail on how she is able to astral a project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life and direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today, authorhouse.com and amazon.com.
Welcome back to Inside the Artist's Mind with Jay Harmon and Sally Barnard. To be a part of the conversation, call 888-994-4995, Studio A. Now back to the show.
Hi, and welcome back. And we are right in the middle of talking to Frank A. Ruffolo, who is going to talk to us a little bit more about his book. And this is exciting. So,
yeah. So where we left off is the subplot of my other book, Samuel and Sarah, is there is a murder on Mars has now been populated. This is 1,300 years in the future. And AI, like the new robots that Elon Musk have, have been developed even more. So now they have AI robots that look just human. And because Mars is what ours is, and Xantha City is the new Las Vegas, they're using the AI robots as escorts
That's interesting. But a
for
lot
that
of
profession.
a
right?
lot of what
Oh,
you've
yeah.
written in the books, though, has come
Right?
about.
So what happens is one of the robots is killed, and they're saying, well, and then there's a whole thing coming up. Well, why would anybody kill a robot? Type of thing.
Yeah.
And the detective that's on Mars, like Jack Stenhouse in my murder mystery books rides around in an old '68 Roadrunner. That's his car. The detective on Mars is in the process of rebuilding. And now, think about this, people. It's 1,300 years in the future. He's in the process of rebuilding a Camaro. And he has to wait. He's finally got the final parts, and then he had to order synthetic gasoline because there's no gas. Everything up there is the only people that use gasoline or hydrogen powered or fuel powered cars are the military. Everything else is electric. And the electric up on Mars is distributed like Tesla wanted to distribute. It's wireless. So it's free.
And I was just going to say, it's free, right?
It's free,
It's wireless,
okay.
and everybody has electric. Everybody has electric cars, but he drives around in a Camaro.
Yeah.
And he's an ancient relative. Jack Stenhouse is an old uncle of his. His name isn't Stenhouse, but Jack Stenhouse is an old uncle of this detective on Mars. And at the end of the book, yes, I'm going to say it. At the end of the book, he discovers. At the end of the book, he discovers that he's a distant relative of Jack Stenhouse, and he makes a visit with his wife. I'm not going to say who she is, but you got to read the book of who this wife is. And they go to Chicago, and they bring him to a warehouse in Chicago, and they've been holding this car there, and it's Jack Stenhouse's Roadrunner
Oh, my
that
God.
he's given
Yeah.
from, and in there, there's a picture, an old faded picture of Jack Stenhouse's wife, who is her name is Deidre Lee. She was a stripper and pole dancer, and her nickname was Dee Dee, and you can figure out why they called her Dee Dee.
Yeah.
Well,
And that's Jack Stenhouse.
by now, everybody has to be interested in your stories. Yeah.
So the next book's going to be called The Golden Skull. Jack Stenhouse, he's a now PI, and someone comes to him and says, I have a golden skull that was stolen, and he has to find it.
Okay. And this all still takes place in the future?
No, Jack Stenhouse is current.
Oh, okay. So this is a separate.
Yeah, this is Jack Stenhouse series.
Okay.
My sci-fi series is done.
Okay.
And that takes place. That's in current, and Jack has to find the golden skull. Has to find that one. And that's more noir than this book. And the last of the Jack Stenhouse series, that'll be the next book that comes out, probably a couple of years from now, is going to be called The Cloistered Lover.
Wow.
And in that book, Jack, a man comes to Jack to hire him as PI because his wife went missing, who was an international photographer. And the police, they kept saying, well, maybe they found a note saying she's left, and she just left. And he goes, no, she didn't leave because we were going to get married, blah, blah, blah. And Jack asked him, well, what is she doing? She was on a case. She was on a shoot. Where was the shoot? At the Cloisters in New York. What the Cloisters were, if anybody knows what Cloisters in Manhattan, that was a museum set up by the Manhattan Museum of Art. But it was built like an old convent it's called the Cloistered Convent.
Oh, okay.
And she went there to do a photo shoot and never left. Or they don't think she ever left. They show her going in, but they don't show her leaving. And Jack's now got to find where she went. And that's the last book.
So you've got to be very interested in your books yourself because they're coming from another.
The characters are so,
going, oh
yeah,
my gosh,
they're,
this is amazing.
So that's the
right?
last of the Jack Stenhouse
Yeah,
books.
that's
And
very
that'll be
interesting,
my
Frank.
last book, by the way.
But
Your
what if your
last
characters
book?
still want to do another one?
You're just going to
They're going to have to find
them?
another writer.
I was going to say, you're going to have to ignore them. I don't think they're going to leave your head, though. You're still going to hear
No, I'm still going to
stories,
leave my
right,
head. I'll probably be writing screenplays more
that's
now
what's
than
so
I'll probably be writing
fascinating.
screenplays more than books. So it's
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be writing any more books.
Yeah, yeah.
So, well, that's
Very intriguing.
that is so fascinating, and the whole series here. Now, what is your website, or people can find your books where?
My website is Frank A. Ruffolo, RUFFOLO.com. All my books are on there, and that'll also give you a link to where you can buy them. They're available on Amazon. If you want autographed copies, books make great gift for the holidays. If you want autographed copies, you can contact me directly. I have autographed copies available, and my email is frankaruffolo@gmail.com. Or if you live in Southeast Florida, you can come to the AMP Media Production Studio at 2400 Northwest Boca Raton Boulevard. During the weekdays when they're open, they sell my books here, autographed copies. Or they also sold at the bookstore at the
That is called fans, right? Yeah.
Because
They're
I'm
following.
sure these are the kind of books that once you start reading them, you can't
put them
you
down,
can't put
and
them
then
down.
another
Yeah.
one comes. And what's going to happen when
And,
you're finished? You're going to get a lot of people asking for another one.
There you go.
Okay. So so we really like that. I love books, and you do too, right?
I do,
And so it's something that I don't know.
It certainly
I think
makes
it's
people curious, and I like that.
You know, it's the old what's the old saying? That's how we used to download download information into our brain, was read a book.
Now you're getting downloaded with the information.
yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
Think we're
so anyway, thank you very much, and we are so happy to have you with us.
Thank you for
And so
Happy holidays, everybody.
happy
holidays,
holidays,
yeah.
and we will return possibly before the holidays. I'm not sure if we're going to
I think
if you're going
next
to, but
week you said
next
but
week
the
we
week
have a
after we'll
special
be
event
back
going
again,
on
yeah.
here at the studio,
But then we'll be back.
and
every
then
Friday.
we will return after that. So please stay tuned, and we will see you soon. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Inside the Artist's Mind. We hope you enjoyed the show. Tune in next week as we explore more about the artist's passions and inspirations.